well in an MBA. I graduated a year ago, and I had the same. I failed everyone because I also joined the sports business club at ESADE. I was part of the board of the sports business. I organized the trek to Bayern Munich facilities and to Adidas headquarters. I prepare the ESADE to compete against at MBAT and at ES Spring Games. Uh, so, well, I feel more or less what you've been going through, and of course, it's always good to share my experience in the sports industry with you, and also hear about your experience in the industry. No, so please feel free to interrupt at any point. Before my MBA, I was a little bit more on accounting and financial advisory. I will say like areas instead of focusing more on sports. And well, now let's go to the more interesting part about the scouting. No, I don't know if all of you know more or less how it works. The NCAA, the National Collegiate Athlete Association in the States, they have three divisions. You have Division 1, 2, and 3. And the difference between these divisions are the budgets. The universities from Division 1, they have higher or bigger budgets, so the competitiveness of the league is it's higher. And then Division 2 has the second biggest budget and the third one. No, we try always to look for players to secure Division 1 or 2, because well, at the end it's better. We look for good quality players, so there's like the best way to. Those are the best divisions. Uh, right, currently, we have already 35 players in Mexico. We are a group of four scouts. All of us had an experience with the sports scholarship. I was recipient for a sports scholarship for Virginia Tech back in 2009. I rejected it. I was a little bit immature, to be honest, and well, you learn from those experiences. But then other colleagues are my boss studied in South Florida University and so on. No, so we are now basically targeting football, soccer players because that's our background. And what we look about, or at least what I like about the scouting, is that you will always look for the player that you see yourself or that you can understand the player. No, so for instance, I used to play defense or central midfield, so those are the players that I'm scouting currently. I go for um, youth tournaments. For instance, there is this youth tournament called MIC Football in Costa Brava, and well, there's been a lot of great players there. Messi used to play there, Fabregas, Mata. So that's the level of that tournament, and we go there to scout youth players. No, they the last the player that we sign in from Spain that will start playing next year in college in US in Temple University played the last year tournament, and he was one of the stars of the tournament. So we try to look for this good level of football. No, what's interesting about this is that the scholarship at the end is academic. We and the NCAA, even though it's a championship division, the main purpose of the association is to prepare students, no, to form students, to secure them a future, and actually they've been their average of graduates have been increasing for the past years. A student that start studying will graduate after 4 years. The average is right now 85%, so it's quite high, and that's the purpose of the NCAA. But aside from that, they are also looking for good level of sports, like competitiveness sports. No? So what we look, and it's very difficult to find this type of profiles, is because when you approach a kid that is 16, 17 years old, and you want to offer them the opportunity to study in United States, they, at that moment, they are thinking about, okay, I can go professional in Spain, or I can go professional in Mexico. But maybe 1 year after or 2 years after, when they are 18, they realize that they cannot go pro because it's quite difficult. There's like less than 5% of people make it to professional sports, no? So we need to make sure that the people that we are offering the help for securing scholarship, they need to be aware that we are helping them to secure a professional experience on academic side, but they will be playing the sport that they love for 4 years and in incredible facilities with they have basically nutritionists, they have doctors, they have psychologists, they have clubs that will help them like study, and in United States they really do very good with this in this sports or in this situation. So we've been having a good overall, like we've been signing a lot of players. For instance, in the last one in Mexico, he tried to make it to professional, and after a couple years playing at Querétaro FC, he didn't make it. And once we talk with him and we offer him to go and study abroad, and after studying that, he could, it's not the main purpose, but he could try again to play on a professional level. He's right now studying there, and he's very happy with this academic level. No? And well, now going back to in Spain, for instance, the last player, Cesar Ripa, he was in a difficult situation. He wanted to try playing with Girona, but at the same time, he knew that it was going to be difficult to secure a position on the second division team. No, so we started talking with him, and I told him that it could be better for him to just go study, secure a career, and after 4 years, if he doesn't want to, like, if he doesn't make to the draft in the MLS, he could always, he has already a good bachelor from a good university that in Spain will help a lot, or even sometimes you can stay also in the States, no? And if you perform well, the university could also offer you a master, and you can play for 2 more years, and like at the end, it's quite an experience. And right now, what we are a small company in overall, and we need to always build a lot of good reputation with the coaches, because at the end we depend. We offer the athletes. We offer them a service, and we make sure that they will get this scholarship. No, so we have strong relationships with coaches, and we've been building this relationship through the players that we've been sending. So what I look for the players, I need players that are disciplined, that I know that even though they will party one day, the next day they will be training in the morning. They have to be team players. This depends, of course, from the scouts. I've been always a team player, so I don't like I don't scout players that they don't pass it. They fight between the teammates. So I always like to look for team players, and and then of course they have to have this academic level. No, in the States you need to have a GPA above 2.5, 2.8 to secure a scholarship. Of course, depending on the school, you will need a higher one, and you will also need a SAT. And if you're a foreign language, and if you have a foreign language, you need to do a TOEFL. So at the end, it's very difficult to find this type of profiles, because at least in Spain or in Mexico, we struggle with the language, and also sometimes with the academics. No, right now I have a player that is he wants to go for the scholarship, but his GPA is very low. So what I'm offering to him is to go 1 year to junior college, that it's not recognized by the NCAA, but he can then transfer after a year or two, depending on his performance, of course, inside the pitch and outside the pitch. So at the end, we tried always to find solutions to our players. We also try to we are now expanding on our horizons. We signed our first golf player a couple months ago, which is quite cool as well. Even though in golf is really difficult to find a profile, because the level of golfers in the States is incredible. It's insane. At the end, when it's football, soccer, Spanish players or Latin players have more technique, and also a different vision in the when they are playing, and the people from the States are more physical, and the strength and everything. So it's really cool to try to always look for this type of profiles. And for instance, once I scout someone after going to a youth tournament or a youth game, you have a lot of teams that prepare youth players. For instance, in Madrid, you have Rayo Majadahonda, that they have really good youth teams or youth players. So you go to a game, scout a couple of players, talk with them. If they are interested, you will talk with the parents. No, next step, I talk with the parents. The parents also show some interest, talk about the money that we'll need to spend, because at the end we charge for our service, and they need to be aware of that. And once they are in, I talk to the coach to know more about the player. I talk to the teammates to know also more about the player. I talk to the school to see if the player had some problems with discipline or something, because at the end it's our reputation that is on game. No, when you send someone to play in an university, you talk to a coach and you say that this guy is really good for your team. You need to make sure that that guy really perform well. No, so it's a very deep due diligence, I could say, behind every game, every player. And but at the end, it's really cool. No, even though you will get a lot of rejections. For instance, currently with the economic situation, a lot of players called me that they will want to wait to see what happens, which it's normal. I understand, but it's also really cool to see the results. No, we had a player last year. It was his first year, his first season in Temple University, and he was performing really well. And the university, as a thank you or as a gift to him, invited his parents to a game. No, without telling him anything. And that day he scored in the game. So at the end, it's really cool to see these stories. No, I'm working for making a better future for these players, and that's something that it's like I couldn't change anything of that. Even though I have a lot of rejections of players, that's a life a life-changing like moment or situation. So it's really cool. And then I don't know if anyone has a question or something. I've been talking for like 15 minutes, and maybe someone wants to share something.
Tools to get in touch with the players to find the talent? Like how do you go about that?
Good question. Yeah, well, we don't. We kind of know more or less what are the coaches looking for in the past seasons. So we already scout on our guts, no? But we have good relationships with some coaches that they contact us and tell us I'm looking for a forward, I'm looking for a goalie, I'm looking for. So in some situations they ask us, no, but normally we just go to with our guts, and we try to always look for rare talents. For instance, you will find always a lot of forwards, so we try to look for center midfield, like a classic center midfield that you don't find anymore. Or, for instance, I've been talking with some people, and it's like, "What's your position?" Right midfield, and they are, "Well, I'm more a striker or a forward." And it's like, "Dude, where do you play often?" That's the position where that we are looking for. No, we try to do the last two three players have been defenders, right defend and left back. So at the end is right back and left back. It depends, of course, and I will say that the demand on forwards is lower from coaches because they you can find a lot of forwards in the states. So they try to, if they are looking to a European market or a foreign market, they will try to look for this guy that will change a game, that will have the game intelligence to maybe, I don't know, give a pass to like a shabby player, we will say, like this type of players that will make a change in the team instead of one that will be just one more trying to score and stuff. So our mission here is to look for this type of players that have that ability, and right now we are also trying to enter to the women football market, because in Spain the football in the football soccer of women is growing, and they are very, they see as a they see the college level of women, they see it really high. So at the end it's a good opportunity for us to offer our services there. And for the women, they will, at the end it's not the same playing in a youth team in Spain than in United States, no? So at the end that's uh, for us that's an opportunity.
That's a big motivation for them as well. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
exactly.
information.
Hi,
uh,
Pedro.
yeah. The
Debashish.
Devashish, yeah, sorry.
So,
Devashish.
what would you, uh, how much would is as a agent generally, how much turnover or how much revenue does an agent generate for an organization like yours? For example, you said you have four people, right?
Yeah.
So, what is the general turnover of your organization yearly or annually?
Yeah, well, that will depend a lot. It's easier just to tell you from just one player, because depends, of course, on them. But for one player, we will uh, generate, or will try to secure a 15% of return from the fees, because we also offer the preparation for the English test and so on. So we collaborate with different institutions that take a part of the fee, and we try to secure a 15 per player,
Okay.
15%.
And how do you deal with the competition? Because the football industry has a lot of, huge names who are very popular agents. So how do you tackle the competition? How do you plan to go ahead?
Yeah, well, this is, well, I don't know if you're talking about agents from professional level, or because at the end we are just on a amateur level that scouts. Uh, of course, when you talk about the agents that want to be professional, we don't have anything to compete with them because they are the main interest of them is to offer a professional football career to this to that talent, no? And we are offering a scholar or an academic opportunity. So at the end, of course, if the agent approaches this great player to offer him a position on the Barcelona youth team or Real Madrid youth team, probably the kid will accept it, and we cannot do anything at all. No, we are not recognized. We don't have the certifications or the certification of football agents because we are not performing on a professional or on a professional division. We are on an amateur, which give you this, which we don't need the certification. What we are trying to do is that for these few players that can make it to the draft after completing the college year or the college studies, we are trying to start already an agency that we will need to, of course, certify, and we will help the players to secure to secure to be in the draft, because we found a gap. After there are a lot of players that have the level to maybe achieve a place in a professional team, but they don't have an agent, because basically the agent see if you are 23 years old, you are already old to play in the sports, no? And in the States, it's different. When you are 23, you are basically starting your professional career in football, in soccer, in basketball. So we are trying to attack this gap by we are well studying some opportunities and also trying to convert on to be scouts and also agents, no? We are now more in the scout part, that we just make sure that this talent go to a university and perform well there.
No, yeah, like yeah, that's what I meant by the agents, as in from professionals. Like as you mentioned, like if the Barcelona academy or the academy Real Madrid academy comes into play. Yeah, so thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
Hi, Pedro. I have two questions. Firstly, you mentioned that you charge, I guess, the players or their parents a fee. Is there also a fee involved from the NCAA colleges that they're paying you to get them players?
No, no. This is only a fee that we charge for for our services of helping them with the SAT, with the TOEFL, with the cover letter, and all the negotiation of the scholarship contract. We don't have to pay anything to the NCAA, or the NCAA doesn't pay us anything.
Okay, and then secondly, how do you take these guys to the NCAA? I mean, do you organize scouting tournaments, or do you do like video highlight reels?
Yeah, well, part of the NCAA has a page where you prepare you make a profile of the players, no? So it's like a Facebook for college, and we create the profiles of our players. We have some videos of them playing in different games, and basically with those videos, the coaches show some interest, and they will, depending on the budget that we mentioned, some coaches even travel to see the players live. No, they want to meet the player after watching the videos and all the and stuff. So basically, we prepare the profile. Will have the video of the player, the transcript, and then the English and SAT tests. And with that, we receive the offers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we've been. That's our purpose. Right now, we have already this. reputation for the scouting, no? And now we want to attack that gap that we found about the agency, no? Like helping the players once they, like after they've been playing in the college, we want to be there to help them through this professional, like moving to professional with different, also like securing a draft pick and then negotiating the contracts and the rights and all those things. No, that's we are looking at that revenue stream, and we need to certify for that, because at the end that's when that with that it gets tricky, no? It gets difficult, because you have different players there, and you need to have like a certified agreement with a lot of like football institutions, and from also in the States you need to have an like a permit to perform those activities. And we also like building on a previous question as well with the scouting, we are trying now to send players that we've been checking for the past years for summer camps as well, so that it could make better it could easy the scouting for the coaches as well. So
Hi, Pedro. Sorry, one more question.
yeah.
Have you, so let's say there's like a great player, really amazing talent, but he doesn't have the money to pay for your fees, because that adds up quite a bit, right? If you're kind of trying to prep this guy for an American college, with the TOEFL and SAT prep, GPA, all that. So how does that work?
Yeah, that's quite challenging, to be honest. I'm not going to deny it. We had a case actually, and there are a lot of people. There are some players that they could pay it, but they are not, like, they want to wait until to see if they make it, no, to college. So what we did with this last person that couldn't pay, we understood his situation, and we still helped him like through the process, and we just negotiated like future, like we gave him a credit, but with like without any interest. We just offer him, instead of paying me this amount of money in these two payments, we will just split it for 10 payments or 15, depending on his situation, and we are just charging small fees, and we will start charging the fee once he moves to the college, that the parents will see that he's already there, no? Uh, People, it's a little bit difficult to find. We target people that could be in the financial possibility of paying at least 40% of the college, because the universities also check that you have this financial security, like this financial background to support to support your studies when you are there. We haven't been able to secure a 100% scholarship. Normally, the universities offer between 50 to 60% of the scholarship based on performance. If the player perform better, they will increase the scholarship. But at the end, it's not cheap. At the end, studying it's very expensive, and that's very difficult, because there are a lot of players that have great talent, but we go back to the part of, this is more an academic possibility than a sports or a professional sports possibility. So at the end, the NCAA will follow more on this academic level. So we cannot, if we offer a top player, that sometimes a lot of players that have great performance, they will probably finish playing on a professional basis. And you have a lot of schools like Espanyol, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico that are always scouting for this type of profiles because they really want to make this player to keep on a professional football career instead of an academic one. But we try to always adapt to our recipients' financial position, and we try to split the payment as easy, well, as much as we can.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have one question.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay,
you.
so I'm interested in the market size. So I was wondering how many foreign student goes to the U.S. college every year to play soccer, approximately.
Oof, I will say that it's very small. I will say that 10% more or less max or in all the for instance, for market purposes, you have from only from the States, you have for almost 500,000 student athletes. And I will say that probably you have 50,000 more that will be foreigners in all the sports, like not no much. Also, always depends on the sport, no? In in football, basketball, probably you will have more local talent. In tennis, they have quite variety. In golf as well. In swimming, they will look for different, of course, different countries. In soccer as well, so it varies from the sport. And for instance, for soccer, one of the teams of one of our players has, I think, 6 7 foreign players out of 23. So it's not big. It's quite small compared to
Okay.
other. Yeah.
One more question. So among the foreign students who play soccer, so the largest number is coming from the like Mexico or any other countries?
No. It's very diverse, and for instance, they love in the States. They love the English players because they have already the language, and then they also offer this differentiation when they are playing. You will find also German players. They've been since 2008, 10. They started finding attractive some attraction on the Spanish market. We have you have also from the Nordics going back to the physical and the strength profiles. They also try to find some. For instance, we sign in a Swedish player. So at the end, it depends a lot on the coaches and the preferences. There are also some players from Japan going back to this discipline that coaches look for. They know that the Japanese have really good discipline on the sports, so it really varies from the coaches. I will say that the Latins have there are a lot of Latins sometimes because they are already living in the States, but also probably there are more companies working on this industry that makes that I don't know, like 10 more Latins there. No, you have a lot of Peruvians playing in the States, Mexicans, Venezuelans, so it varies. There's no like one. I'm saying a lot of Mexico because the company is there, and that's why we are now trying to open in different markets, but our main athletes come from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't know.
Pedro,
Yeah.
so what are your views on the Asian universities, as in people Are we getting good? Are you getting good players who are interested from the Asian countries? Students, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, well, at least for soccer, there's been an increase on the interest in the Asian market. And also from the universities, they like in the MBAs that they like a lot the profile from the Asian countries because they offer a lot of it's a very different profile, no, from what they are used to. So it's been increasing a lot the interest on the Asian countries scouting. We are too small to scout there, no. But at the end, the coaches are looking for players that perform well and that have this academic background. So at the end, it's always very attractive to find that market.
Got it. Thank you. What about the Australian scenarios? Because in the Asian market, it's primarily China and Japan who are having a good soccer presence. India, it's still developing, as I can see myself. But Australia has a good football scenario. So what about them?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Australia has been growing a lot on football. I met a couple months ago with a member of the Sydney FC to try to find a partnership with them because it's a profile similar to the British. No, they have the English and well, they could also they are performing or they are improving a lot on the football side, but still coaches don't find attractive to them. Like you need to at the end you cannot form a team of foreigners, not because of budget reasons. So at the end, if they need to scout someone between Australia and England, they will always go from the British from to the well for the British version. No, that's for soccer, but for other sports, for instance, swimming, you have they actually try to bring a lot of athletes on swimming, and the athletes that swim very good, they will stay on Australia because probably the university there has higher competitiveness level than in the States. So it depends a lot on the sport, but it's good actually. The Australian and actually some teams like Manchester City, the City Group, they are using Melbourne City also as a kind of preparing or yeah, like preparing some players. No, they have
Yeah,
young players.
they have six different affiliate clubs in the world. In one of them is
Exactly.
Mumbai City FC. Yes.
And actually, what the purpose of Citigroup is that in some locations, the main reason is to prepare players, not to find for these young talents, and that's what in Australia they've been doing. And I think that in probably 5 years or so, the level of Australia will increase on a football on a soccer way of speaking.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What else we got? Anyone has an additional question?
Yes, I do. Hi, Pedro. I just, being familiar with the NCAA, I know that certain sports offer full scholarships, some only offer partial scholarships. In terms of your service fee, how does that work? Like, say, a certain player is going to get a Division I scholarship at a top school versus another might only get I don't know, maybe their books paid for in Division II. Are they still ultimately paying the same price, or?
Yeah, hi Tim, good question. Yeah, we have a fixed fee. We try to target Division 1 and 2 mainly, and yeah, uh, actually, at the end, our fee is more based on our expenses on the English, the SAT, and all the preparation and stuff, and that's why don't change the fee, even though the university at the end could be better in some aspects. No, also, well, if you can see from the other perspective is that when you offer a scholarship for at least from a Latin player, they will see it as a huge opportunity, regardless Division One or two. The levels are similar, but and also well, there are very good universities in Division Two. Maybe they don't spend as much as Division One, but still you have a very good university academically speaking. So that's why we don't change the fee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, I got a question concerning a little bit the diversity of sports that you get. I know you probably focus more on football because you've been talking more about football, but how often do you have like athletics or gymnastics or some other, sport? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, what we are trying to do now is diverse. No, we are trying to no. So at the end, that's why I don't want to I don't want to get into that different sports because I don't have that expertise. What we are trying to do is to look for people that know about it, that probably they also were part of or they were recipients from those scholarships that could help us scouting different talents from different sports. That's what we are trying to do, and that's why we scouted a golf player from a guy that is helping us as well. That now is scouting golfers, no, and we are trying to connect with people that will scout tennis players, and we try to like go so like that. No, it's always baby steps, but one of the agencies that scouted me, they had a diverse background, and for instance. They have more swimmers, and the swimmers they secure almost all of them had a 100% scholarship because it also depends on the sport, the average of scholarship that you will get. So it's really important for us to look for different talent for different scouts that will help us like gather the diverse talent athletes.
Okay.
There was a question actually here
On the chat.
from Catherine.
Yeah.
How did you enter this industry building up network approaching, and how did you build up the reputation of your company? Well, yeah, I entered to this industry through my network and through being part of this. As I mentioned before, I was recipient for a scholarship, a sports scholarship for Virginia Tech, and I rejected it. So at the end, I had already some people that I knew that were working around in the scouting, and then one of my former teammates did took the scholarship to the University of South Florida, and I've been working with him. No, so at the end, the reputation we built was based on his experience at University of South Florida, and from there we just start leveraging with different coaches. Uh, I don't even know if she's still connected, but that's your
I think so.
response,
Yeah.
Catherine.
I think she is. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One other question that arises from this is you being in this position of obviously having the network, but how much you saw yourself on this position? It was like was it aspirational? Did you always wanted to enter like the sport industry through an scouting position, or no?
Yeah, great question, Andrea. No, actually not. I've been looking always. I've been trying to do this as a part time. Always like at the end, it's like a hobby watching on the weekends instead of watching. Well, you can go in the evening to watch a game of these youth leagues. So it's more like a hobby. I tried before. I try to like enter to the industry to more to the like to the sport goods industry. I have went to the to I was part of the I was in a process with Nike, and at the end I didn't get it, and well it is made me think about this. I don't know, like we see the sports industry and we always think about teams, leagues, and big brandings, no, big brands. And then that made me think about different, like, made me realize that the sports industry is huge and there are a lot of opportunities, for instance, in the esports and well, in this particular thing of scouting it's also there's like a lot of opportunities, so it's quite interesting. And at the end, even though I saw it as a hobby, probably right now with the probably now I can spend more time and make better things, no, with this opportunity that I'm facing now.
And a follow-up of question is your company in a expansion trade? Meaning, I know you're looking into diversifying in sports, but are you diversifying also on your scout grounds? I mean, the question comes from we have a lot of members that come from very different countries. So, would your company or the industry of college scouting start looking into other places to to recruit, so to speak, students, let's say?
Yeah. We are trying to, or we are expanding. Spain was the first country because I was here and it was easier to find players. But I've been trying to connect with people as well to find different scouts around Europe and mainly in Europe. So we are trying to expand our or diverse on sports and also on countries. No, we are very centralized now on Mexico and Spain. So the idea is to expand that and yeah, that's basically what we are trying to do now, like finding different scouts that would help us. At the end, it's a commission-based opportunity that it's always a good extra, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. Um, do we have another question or anyone? No. Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you very much for coming and for giving us this talk. It was really interesting. I think it was one of those industries that, as you said, people do not think about it at first. And yeah, thank you very much. I think it was very enlightening, and your insight was amazing.
Thank you very much for inviting. It was cool to talk with everyone. And if you want to talk after this, please just drop me a line on LinkedIn, and I will be more than happy to talk with you guys and maybe share more experiences and yeah, I'm always there if you need some help. And it's always and could be always good to if the conditions help to maybe have a beer and talk about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I don't know if anybody has another takeaway or wants to say something else. Nope. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
thank you very much, Pedro. It was very insightful, and you were kind enough to answer all of our questions. And thanks for your time. That's more important.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot of time now. Thank you very much, everyone, to be here,
Yeah,
and it was good to talk with everyone.
Okay.
yeah, same man. Likewise. Man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
See ya. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.